A day to remember for the rest of your lives.
There's a great promise for all of you.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame and Extreme Networks present the Heart of a Hall of Famer
day to
program.
remember
For the
nearly 100 Hall of Famers who just failed. We have reached 48 states
around this
Hall of
country,
Fame,
and
sharing
Extreme
the
message
message
that
that
present
football
is more than a game and can teach Americans how to huddle up during a time when we need to be united.
It's time for America to take a real deep dive. Not at no one else, but at yourself individually. If you want to change America, don't brush your teeth with your head down. Look at who you are and be the example. Be the example.
An opportunity to meet and learn from one of the greatest football players of all time. But more than that, the chance to see that their Hall of Fame life wasn't given to them. Single-parent homes, drug-infested neighborhoods, and poverty.
I grew up in a neighborhood that was considered one of the worst in America, and the household I grew up in was one of the worst in that neighborhood. By the time I was 20 years old, I knew at least 30 friends or family members who had lost their lives. Football became like a second parent to me. It taught me the things that my father wasn't there to teach me, and that my mother, as a struggling, single-parent woman, just didn't know to teach me.
But they learn how to live a life of character before pursuing their football careers. Today, you will learn you can do the same that they once did. Making good decisions can lead to a prosperous life both on and off the field. Your game for life has already begun. It's your decision whether or not you want to be a successful student, son, daughter, brother, or sister.
Every one of you can have a Hall of Fame life, whether or not you play football. You can be as great as you want to be. The Hall of Fame is all about integrity, character, and excellence. You have the opportunity to represent yourself that way. You determine your character.
Welcome to a once-in-a-lifetime program, The Heart of a Hall of Famer.
When I was at the Boys and Girls Club in Allentown, PA, which I continue to support today with my foundation, I felt that shield around me every single day. And they were important in my life. Not only for my development as a football player, but as a person. And for that, I'm very grateful to them. I was known for my toughness. I was known for my toughness going across the middle, making that catch, breaking tackles. But the toughest individual I've ever met in my life is Jim Kelly, number 12. We always joked about what I would say every time I left the huddle, whether it was a run or a pass play. Right here, bro. I said that every time. I didn't care if it was a run or a pass. I was open. But we laugh about it now because I wanted the ball. That was my passion. I wanted you to be proud of me. And know that you can count on me at any time. You know our old saying, bro. 12 plus 83 always equals 6. As I look back on my career, again, I see a small town kid with a dream of someday being great, making a difference in his community, and most of all, making his parents the proudest people on the planet. Well, I'm here to say tonight, I've done all three of those things. No more routes to run, no more passes to catch, no more DBs to beat. The journey is complete.
And with that, I'd like to welcome everybody back to another edition of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Heart of a Hall of Famer series, powered by our great partners at Extreme Networks. Today, featuring Buffalo Bills legendary wide receiver, Hall of Famer, Gold Jacket, Mr. Andre Reed. And we'll get to him in 1 second. But before we do, let me introduce myself. My name is Jake Ray, and I'm the Youth and Education Manager here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, what we like to call the most inspiring place on earth. And we're so excited for the program today. I've been looking forward to this program all week. I hope all of our students out there have as well. A little bit about us here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, though. Our mission here is to honor the heroes of the game, to preserve its history, to promote its values, and to celebrate excellence everywhere. Those values we promote are those of commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence, all of which play a huge role in the game of football, but also the game of life. They make our Hall of Famers on the field, but they also make them Hall of Fame dads, Hall of Fame brothers, Hall of Fame sons, whatever it might be. These 5 values not only make these athletes great, excellent, Hall of Fame level caliber athletes, but they make them great people as well. And you'll kind of hear all about these values today as we go through and hear from Mr. Reed and how they affected his career both on and off the field. Before we get started, though, a few quick thank yous I'd like to send. First off, I'd like to thank our great partners at Extreme Networks for everything they do for us here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. They do a lot for us here. This program wouldn't be possible without them today, so we are very excited, very thankful for that, and thankful for everything they've done for schools all across the country. Secondly, I'd like to thank our teachers and administrators today for allowing us to be a part of your school day. We know this school year has been crazy with all the different ways kids are learning today, remote learning, in class, hybrid, whatever it might be. And we just appreciate you allowing us to be a small part of that here today. Lastly, I'd like to thank our students. You know, without you guys here today, this couldn't be possible. I'm excited to see the questions you have today. I hope you got some tough ones from Mr. Reed, because I know he's going to be ready to answer those questions. If you are watching us, if you're a student who's tuned in, either you're a view only or you're watching us on YouTube, leave a question. We'll try our best to get it in as part of the program. Just leave your name, the school you go to, and your question. And like I said, we'll try our best to get it in. I can't promise anything, but we'll try our best to get it in as part of the program. So that is enough for me. I'd like to turn things over for some opening remarks from our special guest today, Hall of Fame wide receiver, Mr. Andre Reed. Andre, welcome.
Thanks, Jake, man. It is outstanding, man. It is nice to be here. Like you said earlier, in these times right now, 2020 has been a crazy year in sports and education and everything, and our educators are going far and few between to do the best they can with the kind of resources they have as far as virtual, and it's just been a whirlwind for a lot of them. So I can't thank them enough for what they do for the students. 2020 has been crazy, and I'm excited to be here to talk to the students. And we all were students at one time, regardless of what year it was. And somebody encouraged us to be the best we can be, and that is what the Hall of Fame stands for. Jake said that earlier. We as Hall of Famers, not only were what we did on the field, we're good at what we did, but we translated that into what we do off the field in our different ventures we have off the field as far as what we do. And we stand for a lot than just playing the game. And Jake is going to go over a lot of those different characters of what the Hall stands for. And that's what I abide by. I got in the Hall for a reason, because I played football, but it's really those words of character and integrity and excellence. Those without those words, I wouldn't be a Hall of Famer. And these words will stick with me the rest of my life, and that's what I'm going to try to convey to you guys this morning.
You look at those 5 values, and there's so many that the game of football teaches, and it was so tough to just to drill down to those 5. But out of those 5, commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence, is there one of those that kind of stands out to you as most important, or one that you maybe thought you kind of did well or better than others?
I would say respect, because it seems like all those words of character, integrity, respect, honesty, perseverance, all these words, they kind of feed on each other. One is going to turn into the other one. The other one's going to turn into the other one. I was taught that word respect from when I knew what the word meant. My dad was a real, he taught through his not only through his actions, but his words in our household. And you had to abide by those words. You know, when I grew up, it was a lot different. Discipline was a lot different when I grew up. And you maybe got one chance and that was it. But we have to use our words more now. And character and, again, respect is one of the ones that I learned first, because without respect, all those other ones you're probably not going to have. You got to have respect for yourself and respect for the person next to you, respect for your teachers and everybody else you come in contact with, because you will get that same respect back if you got the respect you give them is good.
And you see these 5 values, and everyday situations in life teach you them and better them in your life down the road. But from a football perspective, or sports or extracurricular activities, you can learn those values in that as well. So as a Hall of Fame, football player, as a Hall of Fame wide receiver, how did those values translate, and how did you learn them in the game to then translate them into your life off the field and then after you were done playing the game?
That's a great question, because I think, we all go through life and things aren't just going to be peachy keen. It's not going to be easy. The road is not going to be easy. If it was easy, we'd all do it and we'd have no problem. But you're tested every single day. You're tested every single week. Every day you get up, there's a test for you to take, whether it's in school, whether, the teachers, their job, there's a test every day that they have to pass in order to convey it to the next person. So, as a football player, every week was a different test, regardless of the opponent or, what we were doing. You would come into the facility, and the team you're playing, that's the test. And it's up to you to pass that test. How are you going to face that test and do the right things to give you a chance to pass that test? And if you did not do that, just like in school, if you don't study and you don't do the things you're supposed to do, when the test comes, you're not going to be ready for it. So it's putting your priorities in the right positions. I had some great people around me that kept me going forward and put my priorities right. If you might slip here and there, but you just don't want to go down a road where it has a hill that you'll never be able to come back up again. So you always want to be moving forward and dodge things. So, again, I had the great people around me to deflect a lot of the things that I shouldn't have done, and to keep me on the right path to do the things I should do.
And you hear all those examples, and you can hear almost the football analogy in all those examples you give. It's all about moving forward and working as a team and relying on your teammates, to help you get that forward. So I think that's a great way to showcase that you just don't learn these in the game of football, that they're so cross-curricular and they apply to so many different parts of your life.
Yes. And it's even now, I have my own foundation, and I'm doing a lot of things with my foundation with Boys and Girls Club kids, and doing a lot of speeches all around the country with kids talking about not only my experience as a football player, but what the Boys and Girls Club has done for me to become that football player. And their values are the same to a certain point than what the Hall of Fame values are about. You get taught those values early in life, and you always have those values in your pocket. You just got to realize that these things are going to come up every day. Every day of your life, you're going to have to pull those things out of your pocket, and just make sure you have them in your pocket, that you're able to pull them out. So I was very fortunate that all the situations I was in, it was always, like you said, Jake, it was always pushing me forward. Don't worry about the things on the side, put your blinders on, and things might not go your way sometimes, but if you keep moving forward, you're definitely there's going to be a lot for you at the end of the road.
All right. With that being said, we're going to dive into our questions now from the students. I know they've been biting at the bit here to get their questions asked. And the first school we're going to go to is we're going to go to Patrick Elementary School right here, Canton, Ohio zone, for our first question. So I just asked them to unmute your microphone. So go ahead, unmute your microphones there at Patrick Elementary. Have your student walk up to the microphone and the camera, and then go ahead and ask their question.
All right, Latrell, go ahead and ask a question. Do you have a question? Sorry, Latrell's he's a little shy. Let's see if we have.
That's okay.
Let's see if we have someone else who can ask a question. Calvin. I think he was shy.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Calvin, go ahead. Ask him a question.
What's your favorite food?
What's your favorite
Your
food?
favorite food?
My favorite food. Wow, Jake, we've done a couple of these Hall of Fame, Heart of a Hall of Famers, but I never been asked my favorite.
I think that's
food.
the first time. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a pasta eater. I love pasta. So any kind of pasta is usually my go-to kind of food. Of course, chicken and steak and all that, but I'm a big pasta eater, so I would have to say pasta.
All right. Our next question, we're going to go to Lanier Elementary School. So I'm going to go ahead and ask them to unmute their microphones here. So our folks from Lanier, go ahead and have a student ready to go ask a question.
Stand about right there where Mandy is. Right there.
All right. Gotta.
Which of the Hall of Fame values commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence? Which do you believe is the most important in life?
Good question. I think all four of those values kind of are in the same boat. They're all got the same captain. You have to have commitment for sure to get everything started. All the other ones, if you don't have the commitment, you're not going to have those. So probably commitment, because you have to feel in your heart and in your mind that you could do it. You got to commit to it first before the other things happen. So if I have to give you an answer, I would say commitment.
All right. Our next school we're going to go to is Hempfield High School, PA's own Hempfield High School. We're going to go ahead and have them unmute their microphones and ask their question.
Thanks for joining us, Andre. We're real excited to connect with you. I'm going to tie the previous questions together. We have some PSAC pride here.
Oh, yeah. Go PSAC, baby. Go PSAC.
Commitment. With a room full of high school students, we understand that one of the teams that was supposed to be here might have graduated with you from Kutztown. Can you explain your finishing of your academic career?
They probably tackled me too if they played on the football team. Yeah. What a great time I had at Kutztown. As a high school kid coming out of high school, I really wasn't a big time high school football player. I kind of was mediocre at best. And I kind of was a homebody. So I wanted to stay close to home there in Allentown, which was 45 minutes away. And Kutztown was a perfect spot for me. I could go home on the weekends if I wanted to. What a great experience I had there, not only as a football player, but a student athlete. And I got to meet some outstanding people there as far as my professors and all that kind of stuff. And again, playing football there was a treat, because the head coach there at the time, George Baldwin, was a very stout about going to class, about doing your work, because if you didn't do that, you weren't going to play football, obviously. So I think it was the right place that I picked. I could have went to maybe any other school in Allentown or anywhere, but I picked Kutztown because they gave me a sense of belonging and that I can get an education. Again, I'm a first generation college student, so it was important for me, for my mom and dad, to realize that they wanted me to get that education and wanted me to get a degree. And, I fulfilled that. And I think, the football was really secondary. I didn't know what was going to happen in football. I just wanted to play. And those coaches gave me a chance to shine. And, I was on the stage and I shined, and I got a chance to play in the NFL. And, once I got there, it was like, okay, well, I have to reshine again. And that was, what I was taught as a kid, and what I was taught in high school, and what I was taught at Kutztown really propelled me to, being a Hall of Fame football player.
That leads us into, my next question here. And we have a special guest who's going to come in and ask this question. But, we talked a lot about our values here so far.
Mhm.
And that's just part of what we do at the Hall of Fame, promote its values. First and foremost, we are a museum here in Canton, Ohio. So we have to preserve the history of all those great heroes and honor those heroes who have been part of the game. So with that being said, I'm going to turn things over now to our special guest here in Canton, Ohio at the Pro Football Hall of Fame to talk a little bit more about Mr. Reed's football career on the field. So whenever you're ready, John, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Jake. Appreciate that. My name is John Kendall. I'm Director of Archives and Football Information here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And like Jake mentioned, right now we're standing in Andre, a name that will be very familiar to you, the Ralph Wilson Jr. Pro Football Research and Preservation Center. So Ralph Wilson was the co-founder of the American Football League and the founder of the Buffalo Bills. And he always felt a strong passion for preserving the history of the game. And so he donated money to construct our archives in 2010. And that's where we're standing at today. So this is where we house over 40 million pages of documents, 6 million photographic images, and close over 30,000 artifacts related not just to the history of the game, but really every player, coach, and administrator who helped build the game to what it is today. So when you talk about all those players that played the game, one NFL regular season snap, that's over 25,000 men who have played one NFL regular season snap. We're talking with the enshrinement of the class of 2020, just 346 individuals who have a gold jacket, who are Pro Football Hall of Famers, and not all of them were players. So Andre is certainly an elite company, but we are honoring and preserving the history of all those players here, whether you're a Hall of Fame player or somebody who played one NFL regular season snap. We have their stories here in Canton, Ohio. And so when we talk about that mission to honor the heroes of the game, preserve its history, promote its values, and celebrate excellence everywhere, I'm very blessed that I get an opportunity to do that on a day-to-day basis by preserving the legacies of every player through their artifacts and documents. And then we're able to tell their stories of value, the commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence that it took for them to excel on the field. And hopefully that will help change lives off the field, because those same values that made Andre a great Hall of Famer on the field are the same values that make you a great student in the classroom, a great business leader, a great teacher. And so those values transcend the football field. And so I love being a part of these programs. But Andre, what I was able to do for you is pull a few things from our archive that showcase your story. So this is the jersey from 1997 when you became the third all-time leader in receptions in NFL history there with 826 receptions. There you are with Charlie Joyner, another Hall of Fame wide receiver, showcasing your record there. You would end your career with 951 career receptions, which was third all time. We also have your photo collection here, a lot of different photos. We have a lot of digital photos as well related to your career. We have the media guide bio here from your rookie season, 1985. So there's a young Andre Reed.
Oh, boy. That don't look like me now.
So you had quite the draft class, right? I mean, you had
yes.
Bruce Smith come in with you. There's Frank Reich, who now is the coach of the Indianapolis Colts there. Ron Pitts, a very good player as well. I've got a game program here that I pulled, and this isn't from your first NFL game, but this is from your third, and that was the game you scored your very first touchdown against the New England Patriots there, and the flip card that goes along with that, showing you as a starting receiver. So you started kind of right from day one in the NFL. So phenomenal stuff. And then last but not least, one of my favorite things that we have in our collection is our scouting reports. And this is your scouting report coming out of Kutztown. And if I could just pick this up here, and I want to read the summation here. A very good athlete, has rare speed, can catch, very good QAB, and what that stands for is quickness, agility, and balance, is willing to block and is an effective blocker, will catch in a crowd, exceptional initial quickness and line release, Production is somewhat limited due to the style of offense you guys played, the wing T. Effective runner on reverses, very impressive ability to run after the catch. And that's very important because that's what you made your living at in the NFL. So, just some great stuff here that really can represent your career and that we can create stories from and content and push your story out for future generations to come. And so I guess my question then, going back to your time at Kutztown and then being drafted in the 4th round by the Buffalo Bills, coming from a small school like that, what was your mindset going into that first training camp? And, what was it like coming from that smaller college and trying to find your way in the National Football League?
Another good question. I wasn't really like, I think I just wanted a chance, and they gave me a chance, and that's all you want in life. And to tell the students all you want in life is to be put in a position where you have a chance to better yourself in whatever whatever it is. And I wanted to show that I belonged wherever it was. And I think sometimes, in your life, you're going to be put on the stage and you got to perform. And that's in anything. And I think that was my time when the scouts came up and scouted me and ran and did all these other things. That was my time to show them that regardless of the school I went to, because at that time there wasn't really, a D2 guy wasn't really prevalent in the NFL at that time in 1985. I was just as good, if not better, than the guys from Notre Dame, from USC, from, Clemson, from any other school, any other big school in the country. And I wanted to show for myself that regardless of where I went to D2 school, it was just like going to Notre Dame or USC or Cal or any of those schools. And that was really what my main focus was to show that I belonged. And just give me an opportunity and I'll take advantage of the opportunity I get. And that's really what I want to relate to the students is when you get the opportunity, take advantage of it, because it might not be there, it might, but make the impression on the first opportunity. And that's what I did.
That's great. That's great to hear and a great lesson. Appreciate all you've done for the game. Appreciate all you continue to do for the Hall of Fame. Andre, I look forward to seeing you here in Canton the next time you're around. So
yes,
thanks again. And Jake, I'll throw it back to you.
We'll see you in 2021.
There you go.
All right. Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Along those same lines, Andre, you talk about going into the NFL and coming from a small Division II school. And for anybody that, truly does know that there's got to be some sort of pressure coming from such a small school, especially when they're guys who are coming from these bigger schools, might have a bigger name coming into an NFL camp. So for you get to the NFL, you get into training camp. What was your welcome to the NFL moment?
My welcome to the NFL moment, besides the first day I put that helmet on and, training camp first day. And I was, one thing I do remember is like, wow, I'm here now. This is what I work for. This is what I, envisioned. Now it's time to shine. Now it's time to perform. And I remember we were in 7-on-7 or team drill, maybe the first day or first 2 days of training camp, and full pads. And I remember going across the middle, and that's what I ended up doing for a living. Went across the middle on a deep pass and got hit pretty hard and upended and all this other stuff. And, I kind of laid on the ground for about a half a second. People thought I was hurt. A lot of the trainers came over, and I just got up like I was on a springboard and popped up and went back to the huddle. And mindset, I was like, okay, I belong here. And from that day on, it was, 17 years later, that mindset always stayed with me in everything I did on the field. And that mindset really has transformed me, not only as a player, but to what I do off the field now too.
So that was kind of like, hey, I'm here, I belong, it's time to go.
Yeah.
Now you get into your career a little bit. Did you have that moment where you went up against somebody and you were like, oh crap, this is insert DP name here. Did you have a moment where you maybe came up against a current Hall of Famer or an NFL legend who you're like, all right, it's really time to show if I got it or not.
Yeah. Well, 1985 when I got drafted, we went through a couple two little tumultuous years just trying to figure things out. 85 and 86, 87. It wasn't until 88 is when we started really, being a football team that we wanted to be, because we picked up, obviously we picked up Hall of Famer Thurman Thomas. Jim Kelly, Hall of Famer, was already there. I was drafted with the first pick and probably the best defensive player to me to ever play the game besides LT. Bruce Smith was the first pick in the draft there. And we went through a couple of years that weren't good. And I remember in 1989, we played the Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta, and it was Deion Sanders' first year. Hall of Famer Deion Sanders, probably top 5 defensive back ever to play the game. And I had to go up against Deion. Deion followed me everywhere around the field. And what a great battle that was. And Deion, it was his first year. So Deion was a rookie, but, Jake, Deion. Deion had a flavor about him. And Deion could run like the wind. And I held my own. I did pretty good. It was a battle. So I think that was really, to a certain point, even though he was a rookie, that was my welcome to the NFL kind of, because it only got harder after that.
Oh, for sure.
And I was, I became a starter, not only a starter in 85, but I got better. So the players that were going to guard me were better too. And that's when I had to step my game up. So probably 1989 when I played against Deion the first time.
Awesome. All right, we're going to get back into our schools now. We're going to send it out to Church, one of the coolest school names I've ever seen, Churchville Chili Middle School up there in New York. So I'm going ahead and unmute, ask you guys to unmute your microphones there. And whenever you're ready, go ahead and have a student step up to the mic and the camera and ask their question here for Mr. Reed. Looks like we got a student there. Just get that microphone. There you go. All right, here we go.
Who's your hero?
Ooh, great
growing
question.
up?
It was my hero. Good question. Had a lot of heroes, had a lot of people that really encouraged me in my life. Obviously, my dad was, our dads are heroes for us. They're there through the good, through the bad. They tell us what's right, what's wrong. In sports, I would say, I don't know. I think, I wore 88 in college. That was my college number. And I really idolized Lynn Swann. Lynn Swann was a Hall of Fame wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan when I was growing up as a teenager. And I wanted to be like Lynn Swann. So I was like, okay, I'm going to wear his number in college. Wore his number in college. And the irony about that is when he was inducted to the Hall of Fame in 2001, I was there because Marv Levy, our head coach, was inducted in the Hall of Fame the same year. And I got to meet and talk to Lynn Swann that day of enshrinement. And what really blew my mind is when he mentioned me in his Hall of Fame speech. And, I kind of looked around and said, who's he talking about? And he was talking about me of one day being a Hall of Famer up there. And to this day, I can't thank him enough for giving me that encouragement. And again, as a kid, in your age, he was my idol. I wanted to be like him. And so when a young man comes up to me and says, hey, I want to be like you now, that it brings me back to when I wanted to be like Lynn Swann. And we all have an obligation to encourage our youth and make them better. And, that was special for me. So probably Lynn Swann.
I think that's a great answer. And it does go to show, how the relationship, especially with our Hall of Famers, because it is, the most rare, it's hard to get into fraternity, in sport and definitely in football, but in all of sports. And it goes to show how close of a bond that teams have, that players have who, respect each other's career. We talked about how much, how important respect was, earlier in the program. So I think that's a really cool way to look at things. Our next school we're going to go to is Jonesboro High School. I'm going to go ahead and ask them to unmute their microphones here. And we got a special question. If I remember this right, we have a question from a student who's got a pretty cool name, if I do say so myself. So Jonesboro, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
Hey, hi, from Jonesboro, Arkansas. We're really honored to be here. And Andre Reed, I would like you to meet Andre Reed.
What? Dude, oh, we got, wow. Is it all spelled the same too?
Yes.
Ma'am, I gotta get your information for sure. This is gonna go viral, bro. I just want you to know. That's awesome.
All right, whenever you're ready out there, Andre, the student, go ahead and ask your question.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Can you get a little closer to the microphone there for us?
How do you feel football helped teach you more about Hall of Fame values, commitment, courage,
I can hardly get it.
All right, Andre, try that one more time, a little closer to the microphone for us.
Come on, you got the same name. Let's get it. Let's get it.
How do you feel football helped teach you more about Hall of Fame values?
So how does football teach about those key values?
I think every day that I went into the facility, it was before I even got to my locker, all those Hall of Fame values really took to the forefront. Being on time, all the things that you have to do to get ready for a game, studying, things that if you don't have those things in order, you're not going to succeed on the field. And those things needed to be in order. And even doing the extra stuff. I was one of those extra kind of guys. I love to do extra things when people weren't watching. I always tell kids, if you're doing something and you're working hard, sometimes you got to work when nobody's around, when nobody's watching you. That's probably the most important time. When nobody's watching, those are the times where you get the edge, because nobody's watching you and telling you things. You're kind of doing your things yourself. So I think every day you open up the doors and go into the facility, there was an obligation for you. How am I going to be better today? How am I going to be better in 15 minutes? How am I going to be better in 1 hour? How am I going to be better in an hour and a half? And every time I came home, I wanted to know that I did everything I should have done, regardless of the outcome, to make myself succeed better during that day. And that's the mindset you got to have. And that's in anything in life. In school, you got to do the extra, and then you go over and beyond doing the extra. That's going to put you over the top, regardless of what anybody else says. Feel good in your heart that you did it and you got it done, and you'll be fine.
All right, we got a question here from our YouTube live audience. This is from Daniel, and Daniel wants to know, if you could replay one game over again in your career, which game would it be?
Oh, obviously the 1993 playoff game against the Houston Oilers, the comeback game. And if that game comes on, I know, Jake, you've seen it, and it comes on every playoff year, because it's on for a reason, because it teaches not only that we won the game in overtime, but there's so much that went on during that game that really tested everybody's character, integrity, all that stuff. It tested us. And it was showcased in front of the nation that we were down 35-3 with a quarter and a half left, and nobody expected us to even come close to winning that game. And we won that game 41-38. And we went to the Super Bowl that year. So that was a collectively 45 guys collectively on the same page with the same goal going forward.
And I think an important part of that is obviously the guys you play with and your teammate, and you all have to kind of be on the same page. And you've mentioned before, you play with some Hall of Fame level teammates. You guys like Thurman Thomas, guys like Bruce Smith, and then obviously, the Bills quarterback, everybody knows Jim Kelly. With that being said, we talked about, preserving all the history, and part of our museum, we got a lot of really cool stuff on display here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So I'm going to send it out to Kara, a team member of ours here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, who's in front of some of that Bills artifacts that we have on display. So Kara, take it away.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the second floor rotunda that highlights the first 100 years of pro football. I'm currently standing in front of a display that highlights the West Coast offense. The Bills utilized a variation of this offense that emphasized a no-huddle, hurry-up style in the 1990s that led them to 4 straight Super Bowl appearances. And behind me is a jersey from quarterback Jim Kelly. And as you can see on this play sheet right here, Bill Belichick had to be aware of where 83 was on the field when the game plan to stop the high-powered Bills offense. That Bills offense had 4 Hall of Famers: Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas, James Lofton, and Andre Reed. So a question for you, Andre, is what were the relationships like in the locker room when there was so much talent and also maybe some egos in there? And what are those relationships like still today?
Good question too. Yeah, ego was part of the deal. I think we all were confident in our own way of what we did. Obviously, Jim Kelly was the quarterback, and the quarterback is the guy that calls the signals and does everything in the plays. But I think we all had certain pride in each other that during the tough times, if things weren't going right, that you could be the guy that can turn this game around. Again, we all had our own egos. We all wanted the ball. We all wanted to be the star. But to do what we did for all those years, we really had to keep those egos in check a lot and collectively work together, because one guy does not make a team. We needed everybody on Sundays. And I think we all work together well. And it's just like in anything in life. You know, you go to your office, and in order to get that task done, everybody has to work together well. Sometimes the guy that's supposed to be the guy isn't the guy that day. Then we need you, or we need you, we need you. And I think it was a constant battle, but I think we realized that in order for all of us for us to win, we all had to keep those egos in check at the door and go out and play as a team. TEAM. There's no I in team. So that's what we tried to keep in our pockets. You know, pull out the I and pull out the team instead of just the I.
All right, yeah, I think that's great, Kara. Thank you so much for giving us an inside look there to the
Thanks,
museum. You know, you talk about how, you know, all throughout your career, and we've talked about the importance of your teammates. You had some pretty good teammates, you know, good enough. And you know, you get this question all the time, but I think the life lessons that can come out of it are super important. You know, and for those of you who don't know, Buffalo Bills went to 4 straight Super Bowls, but unfortunately could not come away with a win in any of those. So you look back on your career and what might look like, you know, a down part of your career, but the life lessons that you can learn from those Super Bowls. So what did you pull away from playing in all those Super Bowls, but not being able to win any of them?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we played this game to get to the Super Bowl and win a championship. And we had 4 tries at it, and unfortunately we did not win the game. But I think everything in life has a different side to it, and there's a lesson in everything. Football fans all across the country realize how important 4 straight was. The players that we had on those teams, we kept all those guys mostly together to go to 4. So I think all the players on that team, when people talk to them about losing 4 straight, kind of flip the script and say, you know what? Okay, that happened, but let's look at the other side of this. 4 maybe never happen again. Those players that were all together, 4 Hall of Famers, 5 Hall of Famers, Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame general manager, Hall of Fame owner, that might not ever happen again. So I try to put it on a positive. And as the years go on, Jake, people talk about that more than you went 4 and lost and all that kind of stuff. Because I say, well, what were you doing? I always say this. I go, what were you doing? What were you doing during those 4 that we were in? You were sitting on the couch watching us saying, wow, they went back once. They went back twice. They went back again. They went back 4 times. So that's a feat that really teaches all those values we're talking about.
And it's a great way to, you know, to find the positive, you know, find the positive in any situation that you're in. You know, it may be, you know, and our country's going through a lot of stuff right now, you know, and the pandemic being one of those, and how bad it's been, but you got to spin it, try and find, you know, that positive in your life. We're going to go back to our schools now. I'm going to try my best, see if we can get through all of our schools again. So we're going to go back to our students there at Patrick Elementary School here in Canton, Ohio. So whenever you're ready there, go ahead and ask your question for Mr. Reed. Whenever you're ready there at Patrick, go ahead and unmute your microphone and ask your question. Looks like we're just getting ready. All right, go ahead.
All right, ask your question, Adrian.
When's the first time you guys played Football.
When did
First time? How old are you, Patrick? How old are you?
We're second graders and first graders.
So how old is that? 7, 6, 7?
Yep, 6, 7, 8.
That's when I started playing, when I was 7 years old. So your age was the first time I put on a football helmet. First time I caught a football. That was 7 years old.
That's cool because those moments you don't ever forget those. You never forget the first time you put the
No.
shoulder pads on, the first time you put the gloves on, first time
Yeah.
catching that ball over the middle. And it doesn't matter how old you are or what situation it is. There's nothing more special that we've talked before. We talk to our Gold Jackets all the time. Is when our Hall of Famers are done playing, they obviously they don't miss the practices, they don't miss all the time, but the thing they miss is that brotherhood and that team aspect, and that's where that comes from is those special memories. Our next school we're going to go to is going to go out to Lanier Elementary School again for their next question. So go ahead and unmute your microphone. You have your students step up there and ask their question.
Okay. What in your life made you feel like you needed to play football, or did you just start playing it?
Say that again, Jake. What did he?
He wanted to know what did you just start playing? Did you just happen to pick up a football one day, or were you like, all right, no, I want to play, Mom, Dad, I want to play football?
Oh yeah, when I was 6 years old, I asked my dad. I go, I want a football for Christmas, and back then I got a little rubber football. Back then, they didn't have the footballs they have now, and I carried that. I took that thing everywhere I went, and it was it was important to me that doing that I felt like it was a part of me. And, then as I got older, all the other kids in the neighborhood had footballs, and we'd trade footballs and do all that kind of stuff. And it really taught me not only, interacting with other kids. And again, this is what sports does. It has a way of you, thinking differently about situations. And as I got older, I went and I realized how important that was to me, because the same kids when I was 6 years old, I played with them till I was almost in high school. And that went from, the park and the playground all the way into high school. And wow, what an experience that was for me. So I would say, I carried that football around for a lot of years. I went to sleep with it. I woke up with it, put it in my hand. I had it when I was eating cereal in the morning. It was right next to me. It was my best friend.
To be completely honest, I think it turned out pretty well for you.
It turned out pretty well
in the long run. Got another question here from one of our View Only School. This is Jamestown High School. They want to know, what advice do you have for high school student athletes? Yeah, first you are a student first. You're a student athlete first, not an athlete student. One's not going to happen with the other. I think your school is the most important thing to focus on. As an athlete, again, sports has a way of teaching and transcending a lot of things. It teaches you a lot about life. We wish everybody would be in sports because of the values and the teaching that it gives. But be a student first. Take care of your schoolwork. I think your mom and dad would probably want you to graduate and be a college student, a high school graduate before being, playing high school football. And again, that's great. But, Jake can go over the numbers of all the players that played in the NFL and the percentages of becoming not only a Hall of Famer, but becoming a college football player, becoming an All-American, the numbers are staggering, that the percentages are pretty low that you become an NFL Hall of Famer. So school is the most important thing for you to get to focus on right now. All right, we're going to go back out to our students now. Mr. Wise's and Mr. Polis's class there at Hempfield High School. Go ahead and unmute your microphone and then ask your next question here for Mr. Andre Reed.
There we go. Andre, I was wondering if you had a story about your first time running the no huddle offense with the Bills.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question too. You guys are coming up with some great questions. First time, wow, first time I didn't even know where I was going. We had to get the verbiage right and the timing of everything, of getting to play, knowing the formation, audibles at the line. I mean, people just think they watch football on TV and just go, okay, these guys over there. There's so much different parts that are going into it. It isn't just lining up and running a route. You got to read the defense because things happen so fast. Believe me, it's a millisecond how fast things work that you got to get your mind right to switch really fast. So it wasn't the know huddle really wasn't that complicated. It was just getting the verbiage down and doing it fast and making sure you got all that in your mind and you were able to translate it into, to making plays on the field. So like anything, things take time. We weren't great at it first. We had to get the right people in the right place and know where we were going. And I think as we got a momentum and got the gist of it and playing, obviously it became second nature.
All right, we're going to go back to Churchville Chili Middle School for our next question. So go ahead whenever you're ready there. Have a student step up to the microphone and ask their question.
Chili, I like it. Chili. I used to call it that too. Chili back in the day.
So was there ever a time that you had doubted yourself and just thought that you couldn't do it? And if there was, how did you cope with that?
Good question too. You guys are you're coming up with some great ones. I played all those years I missed 11 games. So I was pretty durable. So I wasn't used to being injured and it being a big thing. If I had a little nick here and there, I usually played the week after. But in 95, I tore my groin and tore a hamstring. And that really tested me as a player, physically and mentally. And there was a time where I thought my career could be over because it was such a bad injury. And at the time that it's not that I didn't doubt myself. I just really had some questions that, I had to work extra hard. The test was I had to work extra hard just to even get back on the field. And I really doubted myself to a certain point. And I was really wondering, was I able to do this extra work and work hard to get back on the field and try to be the player that I was? And I put my mind to it. It was like, well, I'm going to try to get back and work as hard as I can because I didn't want to leave the game on that note. I end up, missing 11 games. I came back the next year, worked hard in the off season to get back. Wasn't 100%, but it was able to play and had 1,000-yard season that year. And I probably was maybe 80%. So I was, that was a test that really I had to pass for myself, in my mind and in my heart. So, and I think we all go through tests every day. There's a test, like I said earlier, and you got to be able to deal with that. And you got to be able to be like, all right, am I going to pass this test or am I going to fold? And I was my dad taught me never to quit, never to be a folder. If it's not going to happen, just make sure you go 100% and you know that you did all you can to make it happen.
All right, our next question, we're going to go back out to Jonesboro High School for our next and I think final question from our students here. So whenever you're ready there at Jonesboro, go ahead and have your student ask a question.
Okay. What was the hardest thing about playing in the NFL?
The hardest thing about playing in the NFL?
The hardest thing? Again, there were so many different parts about the game that were always just floating around in your head. Do I know the plays? Am I physically talented enough to play this game at this level? Am I going to get a chance to play at this level? Every day was a different thing. And I think, again, you got to realize your whole life is going to be that test. Every day there's going to be a piece of paper in front of you with things to do. And are you going to be able to pass that? That's the thing you have to deal with because that's just life. Life is a test. And if you do everything you're supposed to do before the test, you have a better chance of succeeding when that test comes. And I always wanted to be prepared 4 or 5 days before the test, the same way I was prepared 4 or 5 days before the test before that week, if that made any sense. So I was always a guy that did the extra to be prepared for that test on the day of the test.
Awesome. You know, we've talked a lot about your career today, but I want to talk a little bit about, you know, the NFL today. And you guys can see all the Bills swag behind Andre there. You know, he played all but I believe 1 year in Buffalo with the Bills organization. And the Buffalo is one of those teams in the NFL today that's been an up and coming team for about the last year or two. They're putting the pieces together. Got a great quarterback there. So for you, what do you think about the outlook? What do you think about their team they have up in there in Buffalo? And you know, where do those strengths kind of fall with their team?
Well, I'm you know, Jake, we all have our teams, you know, all the Hall of Famers, the teams they play for, they kind of root for them a little bit more than any other team. I've been excited the last 4 years, to tell you the truth, about the Bills and their direction they're going in now. You know, we have a quarterback that's, you know, a top 10 quarterback. Josh Allen right now is playing lights out football. And I think the Bills have finally found that guy. Is he a Jim Kelly? That's yet to be known. There was only one Jim Kelly. And I think they have the guy at that position that can take them to the next level. And to have that guy, you need the components with him. Picking up Stephon in the offseason was a big part of that puzzle. So very excited about their team and the direction they're going in. They lost a heartbreaker on Sunday on one play. That's just football. Things are going to happen like that. You know, Arizona's a good football team. They got a great receiver in DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray. So this bye week for the Bills right now comes at a time when kind of that's like a shock. So they can, you know, sit on that a little bit and get ready for next week against the Chargers coming up. So I think, you know, Brandon Beane and the GM and the head coach really have changed the culture there for the Buffalo Bills in the last 4 years. And I'm really excited about the direction they're going in and the players that they have. And I think every time they step on the field, they know they can win. Not in previous years where they're like, oh, I don't know. So it's great to see that. And I'm excited for the next half of the season coming up for them. And hopefully finally getting a playoff game in Buffalo, you know, even though there might not be fans. But Bills will find a way to watch that game, no doubt about it. So really excited about the team.
Sure, Bills Mafia will be right there along with them for sure.
Definitely.
You know, and I got one last question here, and you know, we like to wrap the program this way every time because I think it's a great way to not only send everybody away with one last little nugget of information, but to sum up everything we've talked about today, because we've touched on so many different things: values, leadership, teammates, motivation, all that sort of things. So anybody watching today, young, old, employee, business member, student, teacher, whatever it might be, what is one piece of advice you want everybody to take away from today?
You know what? The sun's going to shine tomorrow. And I think we all go through days and things that maybe not be going our way, but we realize that the sun's going to come up the next day and you got to take advantage of the rays that the sun is going to give you. It's important that you seize the day, carpe diem, and you seize the day with the same passion that you go into work every day. You go to school every day. Seize the opportunity, take advantage of the opportunity. You never know what that opportunity is going to mean down the road. As a Hall of Famer, and as Hall of Famers and all the guys that I see every enshrinement and the new guys that come in, and 2021 is going to be a great year there in Canton next year. These are the things that we talk to the new inductees about. And the guys talk to me about when I was enshrined. And those things stick with you the rest of your life. And to be a Hall of Famer is not just wearing that jacket, having the bust in Canton that's going to last for 40,000 years, having the Ring of Excellence. These things all stand for more than that. They stand for a football player, but they stand for a person that has the values that made him become the football player he was. And those things will live with me the rest of my life. And that's what I try to teach kids. And that's a great mantra to be behind.
I think that's a great way to end today's Heart of a Hall of Famer program powered by our great partners at Extreme Networks. Andre, from all of us here at the Hall of Fame, thank you so much. You know, I like to say the game of football wouldn't be like it is today without anybody who has ever stepped on the field, without their influence, but specifically and mainly our Hall of Famers. The game of football would not look like it is today without your great influence throughout your career. So thank you for everything you've done for the game of football. Thank you for everything you do for us here in Canton at the Hall of Fame. And we definitely appreciate you being a part of the program today.
No doubt about it. And again, Canton is forever my heart. It's my second, third home. It's somewhere I'm going to be for a lifetime. And it stands for a lot. Now, again, not just playing the game of football, but it stands for more for me and all the Hall of Famers. It stands for a lot more than just, playing the game. It's life. And that's what we try to convey to our students, to our youth, to whoever, that we weren't just a football player. We're normal people. And we have aspirations. We have goals too. And this is just a platform for us to use to teach the next generation to be great. That's it.
So again, thank you so much for all of our students and teachers and classes who tuned in today. Thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of your school day. I hope you were able to take something away from the program today, especially that last piece of advice. So just a few quick announcements before we let everybody go. If you don't follow, subscribe to anything from the Pro Football Hall of Fame, make sure you do so. Like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, subscribe to our podcast, The Mission, that's hosted by our great coworker here, Mr. Jameer Howerton, to stay up to date with everything that's going on here at the Hall of Fame, records that are being broken, Gold Jackets who are in the news. We have a new thing called the Gold Jacket Spotlight, where every week we're going to spotlight a new Hall of Famer. This year, we're spotting the oldest living Hall of Famer, Mr. Charlie Trippi. So make sure you tune in, see all that stuff. So for myself, Nathan, Jerry, all of our team, Kara, John, everybody here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, all the way up to our president, Mr. David Baker. Again, students, thank you so much for tuning in. Andre, thank you so much for being a part of the program. And we'll see you next time right here as part of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Heart of a Hall of Famer series powered by Extreme Networks.